I've never had that game on the N64. There's a lot of games that I wanted to play on the N64 that I never played. I know for a fact one of the games that I did not have access to was Ocarina of Time. And I never played that
Really?
until like the GameCube when my mom got the special edition with the Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time Master Quest, and Majora's Mask Master Quest. It was like a pre-order promotional
Huh.
bonus disc or something like
Did
that.
you did you ever have an N64 by out of curiosity
Oh
or
yeah.
no?
I have
Oh,
a
you did? Okay.
legitimate N64. I still have it to this day.
Oh, you
I
still
have
got one?
Yep, I still got one, and I got a original copy of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, like still like in its case and everything. It
Uh,
has the manual. Hold on, let me go get it real quick because I got it sitting on my desk.
while he goes gets that, I'm gonna tell a little story
All
about
right, I
my
got it.
N64. Oh, you already? Wow, that was quick. I was gonna tell a story. I was gonna distract the
You
audience while
could,
you went and go get your shit.
but
I was gonna tell what happened to my old N64 because honestly, it's like a tragic story.
oh, dude, I had it. I used to have my another N64, but my cat fucking hated it. Like legitimately
Oh,
hated it and threw up all inside the console and ruined the motherboard and circuitry.
oh
Like
no.
completely ruined it. And ever since then, I do not allow any animals in my bedroom. I don't allow
Except for that
cats. I
fucking
don't allow
cat that comes
dogs.
in that demands to be attention.
Yep.
Unless you're where you're at, it's not even in your room; it's in a fucking separate room.
Well, I
I
had it
don't know
set
how
up
you
in the
do it
living
though.
room, so now it's all set
Oh,
up. And I was thinking about streaming this game, Ocarina of Time, but I don't know if there's going to be people who want to see that. But this version
oh,
of Ocarina of Time is special because it is the 1.0 version. This is the one with the original, like, blood-stained graphics, a lot of the hardcore
oh,
imagery.
the not censored one, the
Yep,
older one.
yep, the
Okay,
original. And it still has
yeah,
the, I believe it's Islamic chanting in the fire temple.
yeah. Because I was about to say, didn't Nintendo censor the 3DS version? If I'm not mistaken, I thought I
Hmm.
heard like something about that
They
where they
censored the
censored.
original too. They released a
Oh, did
different
they?
version where they changed Ganondorf's coughing at the end of the game where he's on his knee coughing and spewing blood from his mouth. They changed his blood to be green in different
Jesus,
version. Oh
I didn't
yeah.
even notice. He actually fucking spews out blood. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
even pay attention to that.
Actually, hold on. I'm glad that you point this up because I'm gonna pull this up real
Dude,
quick.
can we just talk about how dark Nintendo games used to be way back in the day? Can we just fucking address that real quick? Like, I feel like Nintendo games back in like the 90s were really fucking dark. Like, looking at you, Majora's Mask. Holy fuck. Did you hear the theory surrounding, which I guarantee you probably have, but the theory surrounding what's actually going on in Majora, or what that game is supposed to represent of Majora's Mask?
Oh yeah.
It's supposed to be like the 5 stages of death, or like, of
Mm-hmm.
losing a loved one or something like that, like anger, grief, all that mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually been proven.
Yeah, I can't remember who first brought that to my attention. I want to say it was the Let's Player Chugga Conroy when he played Majora's Mask. Still hasn't
All
played
right.
fucking Ocarina of
So
Time. I wish he would,
here, I'm
but
gonna pause this real quick so I can start sharing my screen. Hold on, go back. Screens. Screen one, go. So you could see what I'm looking at.
see, by the way, this is the type of shit I'm talking about. Just skipping out when I go say, well, I'm gonna edit
Mm-hmm.
the
And I'm
bits where we're actually just
This
trying to like
video right now.
go in between shit.
In the first few videos, I make mention
But
of
yeah,
the
this
version
is
differences
really
that this
cool to
game
me.
has.
I've
When I
always
mean when I
loved
talk about
like
this
old
being the
content
first
like
version of
this.
Ocarina of Time, I meant that the copy I'm playing just so
Is it
happens to
just a
be
dark
of
screen,
the
or is he
initial
just
release of the
Yeah,
game.
not
it's a
showing me?
legit dark
Which
screen. I
has a
don't know
lot
why he
more
did it like
glitches and
this.
uncut
Okay, that's
content
weird.
than
I was
future
I was wondering, I'm like,
releases on the
is the video
N64
fucking
and
up? Is
other
something not
consoles
playing
that
right?
it was
But I guess
ported
it's just
Yeah,
to.
see
it's supposed to
it.
be an older video.
On the N64, there are 3 versions of Ocarina of Time, which I'll be referring
Because like
to
most
as
people put like a
Ocarina
character up
1,
there. Okay,
Ocarina
he's putting
2,
some character stuff up
and
there.
Ocarina 3
Oh
for the
yeah,
sake
this
of
is definitely an older
simplicity.
video.
Ocarina 1 was the initial version of the game
Oh,
that
10
Nintendo
years
released for the
ago. Fuck
N64,
me.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
you can tell he's
cartridges
old because,
were
like I said, he's
available
not
in
putting
gold
anything
or
up there, so the
gray.
editing software is still kind of
Ocarina 1 was
somewhat shit.
also on
Yeah,
store
look at
shelves for the
look at
shortest
that
amount of
cut right
time
there.
Pixels,
due to
yeah,
the
look at the
large amount
pixels.
of
You could tell he
technical
took that
debt
straight from
and the various
Google
glitches
Images
Uh-huh.
from way
affecting
back
the
in the
game
day.
breaking.
Oh,
This is the version of the game that this
What
update
is
is released
that?
on.
What is that?
Oh my
Nah, what
God,
is
no!
that? What is that? Oh my
We're
god.
not
Yeah, this
shitting
is
on this
old.
character. We're
You
just
know.
talking about how old
Oh
this
my
shit is.
god. Dude, the lol face. That is the lol face of like
I
early
know it is, and it's
2010s.
an old Sonic fucking style too.
Oh
Oh
my
no!
god. Dude. Okay, so I'm old as shit.
Ocarina 2, which was the release that fixed the text errors and
I
many
mean, I think I
glitches.
had a friend of mine who actually
But
had
not
the
all.
golden,
Oh
The game
my
was later
god.
released
the
with
golden
Ocarina
N64 because I
3
think that's where I
after
first played
more
Ocarina of Time
corrections
was
were
on the
made.
N64, and I believe it was a golden
Ocarina
cartridge,
3 is the final
unless the
version
rest
of
of
the
them
game
were gold
to be
too.
released on the N64, with some of the largest changes being made compared to previous
God, I miss the old school
versions.
cartridges way back
These
in the day.
changes were the most
Okay, so I'm gonna make an edit here. I'm gonna pause because this is something I'd like to bring up. Nintendo, whenever they port this game onto other consoles like GameCube and Wii Virtual Console and NSO, they actually use this version. This is the base version that they will use to port. And there's a lot of issues I have with this version.
The more censored one, yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more glitches in it too, since they cleaned up a lot of shit. Because usually when they go to clean up shit, they
Oh,
usually
see,
accidentally tear up shit as well.
I'm gonna.
And not just any
So,
chanting, though, Islamic chanting. In Ocarina 3, this chanting was removed and the Fire Temple's music was replaced with a slight remix of the Shadow Temple's music. Contrary to popular belief, Nintendo did not make this change due to public outcry, but rather it was changed after Nintendo discovered that it violated their own policy to avoid religious material in games.
Yeah.
The chanting theme turns out to have been taken from a commercially available sound library, but the developers didn't realize
If I'm not
that
mistaken, weren't people actually kind of mad that they took it out? Because they said it ruined the atmosphere of the game when they took it out. If I'm not mistaken.
Ocarina 3 was something that happens as you defeat Ganon.
sorry, what did you say?
I said what? Because he was talking about how like they didn't take it out because there was people who were like all pissed off that you know this shit was in there, but they took it out because it violated their own like how they do things.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, weren't there an outcry of people who actually were pissed off that they took the chanting out and all the other
Yeah.
stuff? Because they said it ruined the atmosphere of the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was supposed to say there was more people upset that it was taken out than there was of people who were upset that it was even in there to begin with.
Yeah.
Which I understand. I mean,
But then you got
I'm not
games like
gonna fault.
Majora's Mask. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's why I'm not gonna fault those who were kind of upset, and I'm not gonna fault Nintendo for doing what they did because I mean, hey, if it breached their own way that they do things and they didn't even realize they'd done it by mistake, I can't fault them for that because I mean they're still living up to their own morals on how they said they're gonna do shit. So, and I mean, it's Majora's Mask or not Majora's Mask, but Ocarina of Time's. No matter what, it's a fantastic game, even the one that is edited.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, I didn't even know that this shit was all taken out. Like, I knew about the Islamic chanting, but I didn't know about the fucking blood and all the other shit. And I still say it's a creepy, vast fucking game.
Dude.
So, I still say it's dark as fuck.
There's only one problem I have with the original Ocarina of Time. And there's only one. And that is the Iron Boots problem. But that was fixed with the remake.
I have a problem with the lock-on, but, you know, that's just because I suck.
Well, lock-on, you can actually change the lock-on if you go to the settings at the title screen.
Oh, can you? See, that I didn't know.
Yeah, that's
then
been
again,
a thing.
I have the originals, and I've been
But-
using the fucking emulator version, which doesn't exist. Nintendo, don't sue me. But, you know, I know the lock-on does not like emulators at fucking all, no matter what you do.
So, do you have it to where it automatically locks onto an enemy?
No.
Or do you have it to hold?
Honestly, I've been, like, barely playing it, so I haven't even actually, like, fucked around with it too much, but the little bit that I did fuck around with, yeah, it sucked ass.
But, yeah, you can change
I'll
it at
probably gotta fiddle with it.
I think that's something... I think the first game to actually change it was Wind Waker, because you have to do it in-game. Instead of at the time. But yeah, this is what I was talking about.
After defeating Ganondorf, he'll fall to his knees and be short on breath. After
oh shit, he is
questions how
coughing up
could
blood,
have lost
damn.
to the likes of you, he coughs up blood, red blood, and lots of it. This blood also splatters from his head once Link delivers the finishing blow to Ganon.
Okay, see, that might be why I didn't know that that was blood, because honestly, it looks like a poisonous mist that's coming out of his mouth
amongst the wreckage of
with the
Ganon's
green one. It
castle.
doesn't look like blood.
In Ocarina of 3,
It just looks like a
these two
gas
instances of
or like
blood were
evil.
changed so that
You know,
the
when they try to
blood
make
was
an
green
evil
and not
smoke or
red.
whatever.
It also looked kind of like puke whenever he would
See?
cough
Even he says
Yep.
as Ganondorf. This is likely to
You
have
beat the
been
fuck out of
done
Ganondorf so
that
bad
it
he
would maintain
vomited
its
himself.
E rating and not get a T rating.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with, because Ocarina of Time rated E and having all this shit in it on release, that shit is fucking wild.
Well, you gotta think about it again too. Like in the '90s, you could get away with a lot more stuff in kid games.
Yeah, this was
'Cause they didn't honestly,
98
like,
though, like
yeah,
1998. You would think
yeah.
that they would fucking like go
No,
through.
dude, fucking Pokemon had talked about people that were sleeping with Pokemon.
Oh my god, I didn't need to know
I'm
that
not
information.
kidding. And in the original game, they talk about people had relationships with Pokemon.
Oh my
The
god.
original fucking game talks about that shit. So,
Why?
like I said, they got away with a lot of shit way back in the day. I mean, for God's sakes, what was that one game? Have you seen like a lot of the not Conker's Bad Fur Day, but the games that were similar to Conker's Bad Fur Day? That's that like cartoonish type of style that Conker had. There were a bunch of games that came out like then. There was a lot of adult themes in those games right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Conker's Bad Fur Day is only one of them because, of course, it's notorious for just how much adult humor is in that fucking game. But there were other games that were actually children's game. They had a bunch of spicy shit in it. So, I mean, like, you'd be surprised how many, like, video game characters back then had some massive funkin' honkers.
Flying through the air.
Yeah.
Not just talking about the flower chick from fucking Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Re-releases, which
yeah, so this is
Ocarina 4 and 3D.
This is what I was talking about.
Ocarina 3 was later modified into Ocarina 4 with 2 ports to the GameCube and 1 trial version on Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Is it bad that I still think the GameCube looks better than most consoles that come out now? Like, its
Yeah,
presentation
see?
still just looks cool.
Symbol, which was that of a crescent moon with a star symbol, which is also associated with Islam, was changed to a new unique design that was first introduced in Majora's Mask, the sequel to this game.
Okay, but see, this one, I actually don't mind the change, because I actually like the change on this one.
Yeah, I agree.
On pushable blocks, various switches
except for the color. I think the design on the shield, like the symbol, is awesome, but I like the color scheme of the original shield.
The GameCube,
oh my
the
god.
darker blue.
Ocarina 4 twice.
Why did you use this image?
I don't. This was I guess this is 2010.
That would also come packaged with Ocarina of Time and Master Quest.
This was fucking
Why is it
difficult.
blue?
This is actually what it looked like.
No, is it really? I was about to say, why is it blue? I'm so used to it being red.
Oh my!
I've never seen the title actually be blue.
So this version of Ocarina of Time is difficult. I'm not kidding you when I say that I struggled with this, and I still struggle with this because not only do they go,
I play it.
dude, like they go in and redo all the dungeons. All the dungeons are different than base game.
Oh, no.
And I believe that you take twice as much damage, no recovery hearts on the ground. Yeah, I mean it's almost like you're playing a Dark Souls game.
Oh, it sounds like fun. Count me fucking in.
And I believe, like I said, you can get the game. Like the first time we ever see this was a bundle of the promotional disc for Wind Waker. If you pre-ordered Wind Waker, then you get this. And then
okay.
And then after Wind Waker came out, they came out with a special copy of Wind Waker where it came with both Ocarina of Time Master Quest and Wind Waker. It was like a limited edition Wind Waker, and that shit is like worth a lot of money.
Master Quest is essentially a hard mode to Ocarina of Time.
That's fucking awesome.
Completely new dungeon layouts and new puzzles.
And not only we're talking about the Game Awards, but we're also giving a little bit of Zelda history.
With the Zelda historian himself.
The second
yep,
release of Ocarina.
That's what it is. You had
Oh.
Ocarina of Time, Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina of Time Master Quest. And this came, you want to know something? This came free with the pre-order.
This came free?
This came free.
What the
And
dude?
You got so much shit with this. You got so much shit back then. I'm
okay. I kind of want to say this is awesome, and I want to say this is how things should be, but with how many games are being released, like, I'm kind of want to call Nintendo fucking idiots for this, because, like, that's a lot of money they're just throwing. Like, okay, like, if it was just Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, I would say, yeah, that's not too bad, because, like, to be fair,
dude.
The first two games, they're kind of small. There's not really a whole lot with them. I know Zelda 2, if I'm not mistaken, Zelda 2, I think it still remains the hardest fucking Zelda of all time. If I'm not mistaken. Like, it is because of how bullshit it is.
Hold on.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think Zelda 2 is legit the hardest one at all the Zelda games. Zelda 1, it's not too difficult, but, like, it doesn't hold your hand. You actually have to explore and find shit. Kind of like the first Dark Souls game, where it's not going to hold your hand. You actually have to go out there and, like, fucking do shit. Or talk to NPCs or just explore yourself.
I'm pulling this up. I'm quite a big Zelda fan, and I thought today I'll show you something from my collection you might have not seen before. Of 4 Zelda games. The first 2 NES games, and the 2 N64 games.
And mind you, you had GameCube controllers, so you had, like, a lot better controllers. You didn't, like, it didn't fuck up your hand or nothing.
This compilation was never available.
Yeah, because, like, the NES, it was not the best controller at all. Well, to be fair, the GameCube controller still wasn't the greatest either. I mean, it was a much better improvement, but still wasn't the best.
Yeah.
Because
like
this is what it looked like. It gave you, hold on, I'm gonna go back a sec. It gave you like a 20-minute demo of the Wind Waker, a playable demo. Then and then you got the whole game of Zelda 1, the whole game of Zelda 2, all of Ocarina of Time, and all of Majora's Mask. And on top of that, also, let me go back real quick. You can customize your fucking controller.
Okay, that's actually kind of interesting.
And this was all free with the promotion. If you pre-ordered Wind Waker, you got this.
That's actually kind of interesting because, like, not a lot of people know this, but, like, actually, what was it? Chuck and Conroy talked about this. Like, Nintendo, if you could actually, like, do deals with them or whatever. Say, for example, because I think he talked about one of his GameCubes had like an issue with it when he bought it. And it wasn't under warranty. They actually like talked to him. He talked about like where they talked to customer support or some shit like that. Sent his GameCube back to Nintendo themselves, and they sent it back fixed.
Yep.
Like, I've never heard of companies doing that way back in the day. And not to mention, if I'm not mistaken, he also talked about the reason why they did that is because he still had his receipt from when he purchased it from Nintendo themselves, so he ordered it through the mail.
Yep.
So back then, it was a lot better to order your consoles through the mail than it was actually buying them from the GameStop. So I wish that was more common knowledge back then, because I guarantee you...
Dude,
it surprises me, the stories from that type of shit back then.
There is so much shit that people don't know about that were like things back in the day that it boggles my mind that people still think about this shit and don't know anything. Like, just being ignorant. Like, so there is one guy that I know, and I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to, like, throw him on the spot. You know who I'm talking about. But this guy is special. All right, we'll put it like that. He is special. And if you try to tell him that he's wrong on something, he will come back and try to say that you're wrong, that you don't know what you're talking about, or even better, he'll even say that he'll come be like, okay, well, let's agree to disagree, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning send you like 4 or 5 photos trying to prove that he's right. And yes, he has done that, and I have the pictures to prove it. But I digress. I will say this is probably
fair, like, when it comes to like a lot of this shit, like I was just talking about earlier, like with ordering consoles through the mail, and if you actually like speak to the company themselves, most of the time they were actually willing to help you out back then. Like
Mhm.
especially if you bought it straight from them. If you didn't buy it from a distributor, you just straight up bought it from them. Because like, say you buy the console from GameStop, and then it shits out on you. You go to GameStop, it's like, hey, I bought this console from here, and it shit out. Oh, did you buy a warranty? No.
No.
Well, you're out of shit. You're shit out of luck. What the
Exactly.
fuck? But you like seriously, it like from a lot of people who actually did order shit from Nintendo way back in the day, and not just Nintendo. There were stories from Sony, from Microsoft, just them actually ordering the consoles from them, not from the distributors, but from them themselves. They were actually more willing to help them out than anybody else because they just
Yep.
actually because the few people and not a lot of people knew that you could actually do that. Like, I mean,
So,
back in the day, like there's stories of back in the day where like people would actually like those who would like order guns online from like online or not online, but like old school, like, the magazine catalogs and shit like
mhm.
that. You could actually mail them in, mail them a check or
Yeah,
whatever.
Nintendo
Say,
Power.
hey, I want this gun right here that's in this catalog. Here's what I want done to it. Tell me a price and I'll mail you the check. They'd come back and they'd mail them back, send them a mail back saying, here's how much this would cost. We could do this. This is
Mhm.
what the price would look like. And the guy would mail them a check and he'd get the gun. That's what it was way back in the day.
Yeah, you
What
can't
you
trust
could do.
people anymore nowadays. Like, you can't
Well,
trust
that,
people.
and you can't like get shit through the mail. You can't get guns through the Well, actually, that's a lie. You can actually get guns through the mail. There's like a service that you could do that's like
Yeah.
it's old military surplus for the U.S. Believe it or not,
Mhm.
you can actually buy a rifle through the fucking mail. You can, and they will mail that rifle to you, of course, with no ammo, and it's in parts. I think it's disassembled. I don't think it's like fully assembled. I'm not sure, but what was it? Mike Burnfire, Zach, or the guy from that channel? He bought an actual. Took him 2 years to do it, but he bought an actual like was used in the boot camp of World War II, an actual M1 Garand that was used for training purposes.
Mhm.
Like, tell me that's not fucking cool. So,
Okay, so when I something that I wanted to bring up, right? Ocarina of Time, right?
mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it. And you see how the way that the fog is rendered? Do you know why Nintendo did something like this?
No. Oh, was it to like kind of like hide incomplete assets and shit like
Alright.
that a
I'm
little bit? Because
going
I know, if
to zoom
I'm
in.
not mistaken, isn't that what they did to what is it called? Is it
Spyro?
Resident Evil that was like really foggy?
I don't
So,
know. I've
no,
never
not
played
Resident
Resident.
Evil. What's the other one there? Because there's Resident Evil. And what's the other really big? Is it Silent Hill?
Hill.
If I'm not
Silent Hill.
mistaken, the reason why in the original Silent Hills they had like it was like super foggy and you could barely see anything was to hide all the graphical mistakes and like so that way you couldn't see like halfway across the map and it was not fucking rendered in at all.
Do you know the first game that actually did something similar to this? It was
What was
actually
that?
Spyro. Spyro 1 was the first. And the reason they didn't add fog per se, but what they did was the first let's say that Spyro was in the center of the map. And you tried looking at a part of the level that's about 5-10 feet in front of you. Depending
Mm-hmm.
on the geometry where Spyro is to where that object is, the whole entire game of Spyro has like multiple models for every single like enemy and item. So,
Shit.
yep, because each one has less and less geometry. How the engine works is that it will render stuff with more geometry the closer the player is to that specific object. And that's how they worked with the limitations of the PS1 and wanted to envision the levels of Spyro because the original Spyro vision was to be as open world as you could for back in the day when it
I
came
was
to
about to
their
say, is
levels.
Spyro 1, did that one even have an free cam or no? I don't remember if that one
A
did.
what? A free
A
cam?
free cam. Yeah, where you could actually like look around and stuff like that.
Uh,
I don't remember if it did.
I think it did.
I don't know.
I
Comment below if it did. For those who know.
but another fun fact is the reason why or the reason fuck. Okay, so the gems actually sparkle in the original game and they have the only thing that you can see with the gems and further distance is that sparkle. They did that specifically so it could catch the player's eye. So if you looked at a hill like on top of a mountain, you could tell like there was like barely any geometry over there, but it will still render those sparks so players can say, "Oh, that's a gem. I can go
There's
and
a
fly
gem up
over
there.
there." Hmm.
Yeah.
And they would lead players to like specific areas to where normally you couldn't reach. This is one level where it's like a desert in Spiral 1, and this is in this second area of the game. And there's this one area where there's a bunch of crows and stuff on one section. You can't normally fly over there. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to get all the way next to the goal area, and instead of going into the goal, you notice the gems over in the distance, and you'd have to glide over there. And the only way that you would know that is to see the sparkles of the gems, and you'd have to follow to where the gems are. Now that to me is perfect game design. That's like telling you, hey, you can fly over there and collect the gems over there. You can glide over. You don't ever see shit like that anymore.
Well, no, but to be fair, you don't have to be as creative as you did back then either, because like
Mm.
you had very limited tools way back then as well.
Mhm.
Like those engines back then could not handle the fucking shit they can handle now.
Mhm.
Like the engines they had back then, they were, let's say, a small moped compared to a fucking Hellcat now
Yeah.
of what they are now, like a full Hellcat. So, I mean, it's wild how much game engines can actually fucking handle now. I mean, hell, some games are literally on movie level with how beautiful they are.
Yeah, like
Like some of
Ocarina of
them,
Time. I mean, like, look at this. Look how everything looks. Like
I
back in
was
the day,
thinking more
this was
modern games,
like,
but yeah.
okay, hear me out, all right? Ocarina of Time, by the way it looked back in the day, with everything, like this was like top notch, right? This is
Oh, for
what,
graphics, yeah.
yeah, and
Mhm.
especially with the fog and everything. And a lot of people thought, whenever you ask someone about, like, let's say Mario 64 compared to Ocarina of Time, which one do you like more and which one would you go back to? A lot of people will say they would rather go back to Ocarina of Time because of how fluent and how smooth the game ran and how
So,
everything felt versus Mario 64, which was the launch title of the N64, and how it was very like sticky and how stiff Mario was. That's what turns a lot of people off from Mario 64 is Mario's movements. But that's just because they weren't really understanding the engine of the console.
of the N60, yeah, but then
Hmm.
again, I want to say that's more because like Zelda just has that more fantasy appeal to it, like that medieval shit. Which I'm
Well,
not gonna lie, I feel like the modern Zelda games they've kind of lost the atmosphere that the
oh
original
yeah,
Ocarina of Time had. Like it doesn't have that. I don't know how to describe it. Like a that medieval mysticism, I guess. Like just
magical.
it doesn't have. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like the strange, unknown,
Hmm.
mysterious vibe compared to like I don't know. Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not saying Tears of the Kingdom is a bad game by no means. It's perfect on its own, but like I don't think we're gonna no longer get any more like dark Zelda games like we did with Ocarina of Time and
Hmm.
you know, Majora's Mask. I don't think we're gonna get those. I mean, we may. It depends on how. I mean, it depends on the world that we live in and how stuff changes. We may get another darker Zelda game, which I would love because I love some of the dark Zelda games are some of my favorites. I mean,
Oh my God,
like
I just realized
my
something.
absolute favorite.
I just realized. So if you really think hard on it, you could play every single Zelda game that's ever came out on the GameCube.
Yeah,
And
pretty
the
much.
yeah, because you had Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, you had Wind Waker, you had Twilight Princess. Then on top of that, you had Master Quest. Then on top of that, you had the Oracle games. You had
That
Link to
if
the
you have the Game Boy
Past.
attachment, yeah.
Yep, and not only that, but you had Four Swords, and I think that's all the games that came out at that point.
Well, that and you just have to like that. That's a testament that that just to the testament how modular the GameCube was. Like the GameCube could
Oh,
play a wide variety of different types of games. Like it could play
mm-hmm.
a lot of its older console brethren, like not even just that, but it could also play the handheld games too with that
Yeah.
link cable.
And on top of that, it
So,
was portable. With the right attachments, you can make it portable. And a lot of
which
people
is
didn't realize
sad
that.
because if you, I was gonna say, it's just sad too because if you look at consoles nowadays, most consoles barely play the games from the previous generation,
Mm-hmm. And
which is stupid.
the problem with the GameCube, right? And it wasn't the console itself. By all means, it was a really good console. It was Nintendo. They shot themselves in the foot. And they were trying to go kid friendly while everyone
Yeah.
else they were trying to push for a teen dominated field. And what was going on was you had PlayStation that were releasing like bangers like Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil, God of War, versus Nintendo, who had the Wind Waker, which they had graphics like this when people wanted
Well,
graphics like
that
Ocarina of Time.
yeah, and I'm
And
just gonna point this out too. I feel like that and the fact that they just didn't know really how to market the N60. I mean, not the N64, but the GameCube. Because
honestly,
like the
I disagree.
GameCube,
Uh,
well, I'm only saying that because like how modular the GameCube was. Like for example,
mhm,
I remember growing up the GameCube commercials back in the day when I was a little kid.
mhm.
But all the attachments, I do not remember seeing those in commercials at all. I
Well,
don't remember seeing any of those commercials. I don't think I saw any. They
yeah,
may have advertised them in Japan, but I don't
yeah,
think they
they
like
were mostly
the Game Boy
advertised in
link
Japan.
cable thing. Like the Game Boy link cable thing. I never knew that even fucking existed for the GameCube. If I did, I would have had one because I was a huge Pokemon fan. And being able to the fact that not like Pokemon Coliseum. You know, I love that game as a kid. Never knew it even fucking existed, and I grew up during the, you know, the Generation 3. Like Generation 3 is one of
Mhm,
my when I was in my hugest Pokemon phase. Never knew Coliseum or Gale of Darkness even existed. If I did, I would have had a GameCube, but instead I bought the Wii because I knew what the fucking Wii was,
mhm.
and I was also because of Guitar Hero. But I digress. Like I said, I want to say the reason why it just did not do so well over here in the West is because I don't think they really knew how to market the GameCube when it came over here. In Japan, they might have knew how to market it, but for here, or it was just Nintendo America or whatever the American branch of Nintendo just did not do a good fucking job. Which I could see that happening too, because even today,
Mhm.
Nintendo America, they have their problems. I'll throw that out there.
Mhm. And
But
the problem with Nintendo of America, and I'm going to point this out because a lot of people have not noticed or just refuse to talk about it. The reason why that Nintendo has the face that it has today, you can thank these idiots for that. Because back in 1995 or 1994, when Nintendo of actually no, I take that back. It was 1991 or 1992 when they were working on Super Mario Brothers 3, Nintendo of Japan. They were doing their own thing. Nintendo tried just tried keeping the NES alive, while other competitors like Sega and I think it was the
Atari, wasn't it?
no, it wasn't Atari. It was some computer console. I think it was the home computer. They were doing their own thing, making games. And what was going on was Nintendo of America, they were trying to push for the NES to be alive.
Before, was
And
PlayStation
what was
GameCube
going on was they it was something to do with like chip shortages or something. But they wanted to try and keep that NES alive for the next 4 or 5 years. And what happened was people got sick of the NES and wanted something new. And Nintendo Japan was like, okay, we got the Super Nintendo all done and everything. And they dropped Super Mario World and I believe it was F-Zero. Yeah, it was F-Zero because they wanted to show off the special capabilities of the Super Nintendo, and they wanted to show off what it could do. And the two best games that they wanted to show off at launch was F-Zero for its 3D like graphics, and Super Mario World with gameplay and family play. Because as far as I'm aware, the only two multiplayer game, the only two that were, or the only one that was multiplayer was Super Mario World. F-Zero was a single player based game only.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like that one at the time, like people didn't really. I don't think there was like how many racing games were actually multiplayer back then that weren't arcade games? Because like F-Zero
Uh,
was still kind of similar to like an arcade-ish style racer. But speaking of F-Zero 2, I think we talked about this at one point, but you heard through the rumor pipeline that they're actually may be doing something with F-Zero, so we may get another Captain Falcon game.
Dude, we've been hearing that for years. I mean, like for years,
Oh
like
no,
ever
I
since like
know that, but I'm talking
2014.
about like there's actually like some people has been looking around at the copyright thing and they actually have been seeing some movement, so it might be coming here shortly.
Well, that could
But,
possibly have something to do with the F-Zero like battle royale that they're doing. I don't
but
know.
possibly, like I said, but I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me because like they brought back Metroid. They're bringing back what was that other game they're coming out with? Another one. That's a super old one. I think there's another Star Fox that's on the way, and there's also
Yeah,
another. Not Pikmin. What was that other game that they announced that was supposed to be coming out as well?
Samus.
No, they already made Metroid. I'm talking about like another old title
Oh,
that they just barely ever touched. Is it another Game and Watch or is it something else?
no, I know what you're talking about. It's got the angel dude, Icarus.
Oh
So,
yeah, Kid Icarus. There's another Kid Icarus game on the way. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry, my mind went blank on that one. But so I mean, they're bringing those back. So there's a good possibility that we may actually get another F-Zero game. I mean, honestly, if they're going to do it, they might as well because I think older genres are starting to come back, and this would probably be a good time to segue back into the Game Award clips. I know this is what people's been waiting for because we've been sitting here talking about old Nintendo shit for almost
mm-hmm.
over 30 minutes. But yeah, no, we'll transition to that.